I came to an important conclusion in my life, which is the biggest way to sabotage your progress in life and virtually guarantee that you will never reach your potential is to continue to fool yourself that you can postpone and you can delay starting something, that you will do it tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. um, Tomorrow is just a bad concept. It's good for purely organization point of view, like you want to schedule events, you want to schedule activities and so on, that's fine. But when it comes down to actually doing the things that matter to you, there is no tomorrow. Because if you think there isn't tomorrow, you implicitly take today for granted because you think you can do it tomorrow. So today is not that important, right? But that's a bad assumption to make. And it's also disrespectful to life in the end, because taking days, countless days, for granted by default leads to the same kind of pitfalls that we end up in when we take people for granted. When we become complacent in terms of how we interact with our spouse, with our kids, with our friends. With time, just because we get accustomed to them being there all the time with us, we take them for granted. We'll think that it's not maybe that important to be as kind and as nice as we can today with them because we have another chance tomorrow. And tomorrow we will do it. But of course, tomorrow comes, which will be today. And unfortunately, tomorrow will give us another chance to postpone things to another tomorrow, which is the day after that, and then the day after that, and then the day after that. And then you develop habits which you take for granted and become who you are. And who you are, who you end up becoming, is most probably not representative of who you wanted to become or who you dreamed of becoming when you were a child and you allowed yourself to dream big. So, this is a very important trap to be aware of because it changes the very joy, it changes the very nature of the experience that we have in life. Thinking that we can postpone things just because they are difficult or uncomfortable in the moment for tomorrow is the biggest lie that we continuously tell to ourselves. And I've been forced by life to see the value in a second of life. When I was sitting close to my mother in her last day, I saw how important every second is and how precious it is as well. Because no matter how much I wanted to give her more seconds, it was just not possible, right? And she made huge efforts, increasingly more and more efforts to just catch one more second of life, and then one more, and then one more, until there were no more seconds that she could catch. And then there was a last second, right? And when I saw that firsthand, I realized how precious life is. And at the same time, the tragedy that we all live in day by day for simply not acknowledging that preciousness and taking those seconds for granted as if we are entitled to them. This human body is an incredible machine. We are made up of trillions, not billions, but trillions of cells. And cells in themselves, independently, are like incredibly complex factories of thousands of microorganisms and structures that help us just breathe and just carry around with whatever we are doing in the day. And we take all of that for granted. We are never grateful for the miracle of life because we never care about thinking of it. We take everything by default. We become very habituated with the level of comfort that we have around us day by day. And we never stop wondering at the incredible magic of it all and how everything happens and how is everything so self-sustaining and natural and just there. We are always caught up in doing things, in rushing to the next thing, in getting the next thing, right? In succeeding, in we are trumping every single second for the next one, in a way. We are discounting the value of this second, of this minute, of this day for the imagined value in the next second, in the next day, in the next year. And we do that forever. We never stop. We never stop. So, in a way, we never live, if you think about it deeply, by just running your life in this kind of rushed, forced sequencing of events and transition states. We are always like living in transition. We are always living in the next moment. We are never living in this moment. And spoiler alert, this moment is the only moment which is real. Luckily, we have it always available for appreciation. But unfortunately, we always discount it. We always think that there is the next best thing tomorrow. We can always find some sort of a strange peace in knowing that we can do it tomorrow. And it's amazing that no matter how intelligent we are, we never get to really see how stupid this is, right? How can we just fool ourselves in believing that we can take tomorrow for granted? We cannot. And now I'm speaking mostly to myself because even if this is very clear for me now, I'm pretty sure that I will catch myself in being in transition, in delaying things for tomorrow, in postponing things unnecessarily. But I also know at the same time that I grasped with clarity the importance of today and the illusion of tomorrow. And because I lived this importance, I will never forget it. And most probably, just listening to me and hearing this message will not dramatically change your life, will not give you maybe more than, interesting, some sort of an aha moment, maybe at best. But try to just sit with this idea and contemplate it deeply because it will change everything for you. Not continuing to discount the moment that you are living in now for an imagined best, better moment next, in the future, tomorrow, 3 days from now, will actually allow first of all will allow you to enjoy what's in front of you, to be grateful for being able to explore even the simplest of things, because you will get to pay attention in a unique way, in a way that you never paid attention before, and you will see ordinary things from a different light, from a different perspective. You will discover basically a new world. Because when you are living in transition, when you are living with the impression that everything is familiar and you've seen it all and nothing is new anymore, when you live in this kind of gray life where everything is bland and I know it all, and it's a very it's a very sad way of living, right? Because you always chase the next thing. You always think that I must do something better, greater, um, in completely different, in order to just feel that I live. And it doesn't have to be like that. 99.999% of everything that you are surrounded with is still foreign to you. You are just familiar with them because you ceased investigating what they are. You're just attaching labels to them, by default. That's a chair that I have there for 10 years. That's my table that I have since 20 years. That's just my coffee mug, or that's just my coat. They are, from a purely utilitarian perspective. I'm not saying that they are more than that. At the same time, there are also things that you have no idea what they are. And I'm not saying now to just go and analyze a mug, or look at a table for 1 hour, but not discounting the value of things in a millisecond is a superpower. Because if you actually are able to investigate with deep curiosity everything that is around you, you will never get bored again. And you will find life a very fascinating action movie in which you are the designer of events and you are the protagonist, you are the main character, right? You get to see whatever you choose to see, whatever you choose consciously to focus on. This is what you will see, this is what you will observe. You will not observe purely the unconscious patterns that make up your familiar past, right? That made up your familiar past, and now you are reliving endlessly. You are not just replaying every single day in the past 10 years, just putting the same common label on everything and discounting the value of everything in it, right? You always have the choice, if you remember, that you can inspect deeply everything from yourself to everything around you. And this is immensely, immensely rewarding. And you don't need to have all sorts of stimulants or stimuli all the time. You don't need to do the next best thing all the time. You don't have to chase, whatever thrills, or, go into the next adventure all the time just to feel something. There is immense joy in discovering a world that you never paid attention to. I challenge you to do that. I challenge you not to postpone to tomorrow doing important things, and not to take today for granted. This doesn't mean that today you have to do incredibly interesting things. Not taking today for granted means that you genuinely appreciate every single second that you are consciously acknowledging. Right? You're just present. You are consciously aware of the fact that you are okay, that you are healthy, that you are safe, that you are incredibly privileged to have a lot of comfortable possessions in life, um, friends and family around you that can give you psychological support, um, and help you with your difficulties along the way in your life. There are so many things to be grateful for. And I think it's worth being grateful also, explicitly, to people who are there for you, no matter what, and people that you typically take for granted just because they are there, and you think they are supposed to be there, so why bother showing them appreciation and love? Well, just because at some point they might very well not be there, right? um, so Don't take today for granted, and don't leave important things for tomorrow. If you care deeply about something, dedicate it your full attention and do it today. Do it now.